The stage lights glowed softly as the Filipino contestant stepped forward, his hands slightly trembling, but his eyes filled with quiet determination. He wasn't dressed like a rock star or trying to show off. He wore a simple outfit that reflected his humble beginnings. He introduced himself with respect, explaining that he grew up in a small town in the Philippines where music was more than just a hobby. It was his lifeline. He used to sing Elvis Presley songs at local events, in karaoke bars, and even on the streets to help support his family. At first, the audience at Ireland's Got Talent 2025 listened politely, expecting just another ordinary performance. Some people smiled kindly, while others waited without much excitement, unaware that they were about to witness one of the most unforgettable moments in the show's history. But everything changed the very moment he opened his mouth to sing. His voice came out deep, rich, and powerful, instantly capturing the spirit of Elvis with astonishing accuracy. It wasn't just an imitation. It felt as if the king of rock and roll had come back to life on that stage. The audience gasped in disbelief, some with their mouths open, others grabbing their friends' arms in shock. They didn't just hear a voice, they felt it. The raw emotion, the soulful tone, the perfect control. Every note struck straight. Simon Cowell, famous for his sharp tongue and high standards, leaned back in his chair with a rare look of disbelief as the Filipino singer continued his breathtaking performance. Normally, Simon is the hardest judge to impress. He watches thousands of auditions and rarely shows emotion. But this time was different. His eyes narrowed with intense focus, analyzing every note. The Filipino contestant didn't just copy Elvis, he honored him while adding his own unique flavor, blending nostalgia with fresh vocal intensity. There was soul in every line, passion in every breath, and a fire in his voice that told a story of struggle, dreams, and determination. The judges exchanged stunned glances, whispering to each other, trying to process what they were witnessing. One judge slowly placed a hand over her heart, visibly moved. Another judge smiled in disbelief, shaking his head as if to say, "This can't be real." The audience, who at first had been sitting quietly, could no longer stay still. People stood up mid-song, cheering loudly, clapping rhythmically, waving their arms in the air like they were at a live concert. Some even recorded the performance on their phones, knowing this moment would go viral. It was as if the energy in the room had transformed into pure electricity. As the performance built up to its climax, the intensity grew even stronger. The Filipino contestant's voice climbed effortlessly to the high notes, while still maintaining the deep, powerful tone of Elvis's signature style. The emotional connection between him and the audience was undeniable, like a shared heartbeat pulsing through the room. You could see tears in the eyes of some audience members, who felt the authenticity of his performance. He wasn't just singing a song, he was pouring years of hope, sacrifice, and dreams into every second. His body language shifted from nervousness to fearless stage presence. He owned the stage with graceful confidence, moving in a way that paid tribute to Elvis while still remaining original. He captured the charm, the swag, the rhythm, but added the heart of a Filipino soul. Simon Cowell leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, his eyes locked on the singer. This was the kind of talent that judges hope to discover, the kind that only appears once in a generation. The judges didn't just look impressed, they looked honored to be witnessing this moment. The crowd's cheering grew louder and louder, echoing through the entire auditorium. Even the production crew backstage was seen peeking out to watch. This wasn't just another performance on Ireland's Got Talent. It felt historic, like the birth of a superstar. By the time he hit the final note, holding it with perfect control and emotion, the room exploded with screams, applause, and standing ovations. In that instant, it became clear, this Filipino contestant did not just surprise Simon Cowell, he shocked the entire world. Their hearts. As he continued, his confidence grew, and he began to move like Elvis, blending classic charisma with his own natural style. The judges looked at each other with wide eyes. One of them leaned forward, stunned, while another started smiling uncontrollably. Even Simon Cowell, the toughest critic in the world, raised his eyebrows and sat up, clearly surprised by the talent in front of him. The longer the Filipino contestant sang, the more the energy in the room exploded. People stood up from their seats, clapping and cheering before the song even ended. It felt less like an audition and more like a legendary concert. The audience's reaction was electric. They knew they were witnessing something rare, something special. In that moment, the shy singer from the Philippines transformed into a global star right before their eyes. And as he held the final note with flawless strength and passion, the entire theater erupted in thunderous applause. It was more than just a performance. It was a powerful reminder that true talent has no borders, no limitations, and no stereotypes. A Filipino singer had just stunned the world, and this was only the beginning of his incredible journey. The music finally faded, but the energy in the theater only grew stronger as the Filipino contestant stood on stage, slightly breathless yet glowing with pride. For a moment, there was pure silence, almost as if the world had stopped to absorb what had just happened. Then, without warning, the entire audience erupted into the loudest standing ovation of the night. People were screaming, clapping, whistling, and even crying. Some fans rushed to the front of the stage just to be closer to him. The judges stood up as well, one by one, applauding with genuine admiration. It was clear that this wasn't just a great audition. It was a once-in-a-lifetime performance. The camera zoomed in on Simon Cowell, who rarely gives compliments easily. He smiled, shook his head in disbelief, and said, "You didn't just sing Elvis, you became Elvis." The crowd went wild. Simon continued, "That was world-class. That was perfection. That was history." Hearing those words from the toughest judge in talent show history was more valuable than any trophy. At that moment, the Filipino contestant didn't just impress the judges, he earned their respect. The judges began sharing their thoughts, each one overwhelmed. One judge said, "I felt like I was watching a legend." Another added, "You brought Elvis back, but you also brought yourself. That's true artistry." The Filipino singer listened humbly, tears forming in his eyes. He was not just singing for fame. He was singing for his family, his culture, and every dreamer who had ever been told that success was impossible. When the judges delivered their votes, they didn't just say, "Yes." They shouted it. Simon slammed the golden buzzer without hesitation. Gold confetti rained down from the ceiling as the Filipino singer dropped to his knees in disbelief, overwhelmed with emotion. The audience chanted his name like he was already a superstar. In that magical moment, a dream that started in a small Philippine town had reached the world stage. The video of his performance spread across social media like wildfire. Within hours, it hit millions of views, trending worldwide. People from different countries shared it, saying he sang better than most professional Elvis tribute artists. Fans praised not just his voice, but his humility and passion. He became a symbol of Filipino pride, inspiring thousands of aspiring singers who saw in him the possibility of their own success. News outlets called him the Filipino Elvis, the voice that stunned Simon, and the new global star. His story traveled far beyond the Ireland's Got Talent stage. He received invitations for interviews, concerts, and collaborations. But through it all, he remained grounded, always thanking his family, his country, and his supporters. From street performances to the biggest talent stage in the world, he proved that true talent can rise from anywhere. And this was only the beginning of a legendary journey.